The race of the chase is complete, further cementing that old cliche that it's not always about the journey, but rather the destination. I'm John Redden with my review of the NWA 73rd Anniversary Show. Once again at the Chase in St. Louis like they were for the previous night for NWA Empower. Check out my review of that if you haven't already. Speaking of reviews, I apologize for this one not being up a little bit sooner. I was at an independent wrestling show while this was going on. I was able to catch half of it at home, and then I had to go to sleep because I had to work early in the day, so I watched the rest of it at work because that's just how slow it was in the morning. Hooray! So yeah, this review's up hours later than I planned. But let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. And also, I want you guys to sound off in the comments if you want me to continue to review NWA Power weekly, or maybe just stick to the pay-per-views. Just let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. But anyway, there was a lot of good stuff on this show. Like, there was stuff that ranged from decent to pretty damn good. There were a few things I didn't like, but you're going to get that. And I will say that the bundle package, I think it was like $40 for both events. That's pretty goddamn good. That's a fucking steal. And everybody worked really goddamn hard, except for a couple people. And don't worry, I'm going to critique them in a little bit. So the pre-show had the Hex and Lady Frost against Taryn Terrell, Genocide, a.k.a. Walt Disney's favorite wrestler, and Paula Blaze, which I'm going to tell you right now, Miss Blaze, she's fucking goddamn beautiful. She's got some great energy. Taryn Terrell can kick rocks for all I fucking care. She looks confused when she's not assaulting a significant other like she did in 2010, and if you know, you know. So the Hex basically were like the baby faces. Lady Frost didn't do anything until there was like, you know, an AK-47, you know, like the finisher of Marty Bell and Allison Kay. But oh no, what the fuck? It was a tag team effort, but Lady Frost made a blind tag and hit the moonsault and did one move and got the victory. 1, 2, 3. Okay, not bad. We get PJ Hawks and Colby Carino. I wonder who the heel is. Colby. Clearly Colby. There was some nice wrestling. Colby did some good groundwork. There was a catch and a launch by PJ off the ropes. That was very well done. And he got like the Hawks clutch, I think is what it was called. It was a nice submission maneuver for the victory. That was some good stuff. And then we move on to the show proper. And I'm probably going to blitz through a little bit of this because this was a pretty long show. I think with the pre-show and the main show, it was nearly 4 hours, which I'm glad that the crowd got a good show, but I also sense they were getting a little bit burned out because, you know, like you can only sit there for so long and you're going to kind of be down on some of this stuff. I've been at some shows, you know, where you can get a little bit of a burnout if it's like over 3 hours. But anyway, I did like the 50s, 60s, you know, 70s, whatever era was. I think it was 60s or 70s where Mae Valentine, Aaron Shooter Stevens, and Kratos, they were doing, you know, their stuff like they did for the Empower pay-per-view promo, which was really nice. And then we get old school footage mixed with current stuff narrated by, was that John Goodman? The John Goodman? Good fucking grief. My goodness. That was pretty well done. That was a great video package. It summed up the history and everything, you know, NWA in St. Louis. Very good stuff. And then we get Joe Galli. Joe Galli pretty much carrying the commentary until about, you know, a couple matches into the show because we had Velvet Sky who, look, okay, I'm just going to fucking say it right now. Velvet Sky is fucking rotten at commentary. She's never been that good in the ring. But okay, if you want to have a voice, you know, a woman's voice, touch, whatever, on commentary to lend insight, get somebody that actually has charisma that is not equivalent to a dead gazelle on the side of a fucking African road. She is fucking rotten, fucking terrible. Putting aside how I personally feel about her, she either is shouting too goddamn loud or she's being too goddamn ridiculous and she's calling moves wrong things. She fucking called a Code Red a Canadian destroyer last night. You know, these things happen, mistakes happen, but if I'm going to critique WWE, AEW, even New Japan commentary, then I'm going to critique this stuff because this was objectively bad. Joe Galli, and Joe, switch the decaf. I mean, I love Joe Galli. Just switch the decaf, man. It's like, dial it back a little bit. I was afraid he was going to, like, something bad was going to happen because I was like, he was really pepped up, and I love energy from the commentators. It was great stuff, but I was a little bit worried about him. And then Conrad Thompson, who I can't fucking stand one goddamn bit. He fucking annoys me. The numerous podcasts he co-hosts, great, good. And he's a passionate wrestling fan. Some people like him, that's fine. I hate the fucking Bruce Pritchard one that he does, because Bruce Pritchard, rather, is a goddamn liar and a goddamn piece of shit. And I just can't stand Conrad Thompson. He was fucking awful here, so Joe Galli had to shoulder the goddamn load for the first couple matches. So anyway, we get Tim Storm. I love Tim Storm. He's a great commentator, great territorial wrestler brought into the modern age. He could have fit in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Genuinely great guy, and tough as nails. I mean, especially for some of the stuff he took here. He took on Tom Latimer and Crimson, so it was a three-way battle in the loo. No, not battle in the British toilet. It was battle in St. Louis. So Jax Dane, who had cut a pre-show promo, oh, the War Kings are fine, or are they? Well, evidently, Slice Boogie got through to Jax Dane, and once Crimson beat him up, he's like, okay, I know this guy was a dick to me, and you've been my tag partner, but I'm going to hurl you through a goddamn ladder. So, why the fuck not? I mean, it was that, and then Crimson went away for a bit. And then, fucking, god damn it. Like, Tom Latimer was just, trying to go buck wild here. But Tim Storm was like, I'm going to revert to the old Tim Storm. When I beat up Josephus, rest in peace Josephus, in that empty arena match, I actually had to rewatch that when they did a roundup thing. They, like, right around the time where Power had to go on hiatus due to the pandemic. I got to see that, and I get why people really liked that. That was pretty damn good. The bell rang, by the way, eventually, but people were just beating the shit out of each other. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, they did a few of these jump starts, during the show. So anyway, Crimson was taken away. Storm uses a trash can, and then he was just more vicious, just bam, bam. He's just going to beat the shit out of everybody because you never want to anger a guy that's as tough as Tim Storm. He can go that dark place. He can do, some great stuff. So Latimer puts the freaking guardrail, between the barricades, or a piece of the barricade between the rest of the barricade, gets a gigantic ladder, and dives off of that, because why the fuck wouldn't you dive off of a goddamn giant ladder? Because there's a giant ladder under the ring for no goddamn reason. Whatever. They definitely went all out with all these weapon shots, and Storm, credit to Tim Storm for taking that bump. I mean, and that thing looked like it just, folded like that. Crimson eventually comes back. We get a chair kick. We get a DVD on 2 chairs by Crimson. Storm pulls the ref out because, again, he is being the old Tim Storm. The old Stone Cold. No, the old Tim Storm. And then we got, at one point, Crimson has his belt off, and Tim Storm says, hey, ref, give me your belt. What? I got the belt. Ha-ha. And they do some belt whipping stuff. Ha-ha. They do this. And then eventually Perfect Storm. 1, 2, 3. So Tim Storm gets a victory. And to open up NWA 73 proper. Good stuff. And considering what Tim Storm has meant to this relaunch of the NWA the last few years, that was nice. And honestly, Crimson taking the pin, I mean, really at this point, does Crimson mean much of anything? I don't know why they protected Tom Latimer, but it was what it was. I know strictly business, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So we get Kylie Rae versus Mickie James. Mickie James decked out in all leather. And I know a particular viewer that is going to like that. I'm not saying I didn't, but I know a particular viewer that really likes Mickie James. Smiley, Kylie Rae, and Kylie Rae is like, haha, I'm gonna hurt you. My name's Talkie Tina. No. She basically was, even though she had Mickie at one point, she was, getting her in a submission. She's waving that, using her hand to wave at the fans and stuff like that. Really, really good stuff there. Nice match. I enjoyed the pace of this. I can't necessarily say it was like blow away, but it was well done. And Mickie proving that she still had somewhere to go, still has plenty left in the tank and everything. I did like how she wasn't part of the Empower pay-per-view, though. Maybe getting rid of that one stupid, moron that was in the Free Babes is all I'm going to say. Hollywood, yeah, she can piss the hell off. But anyway, Mickie TDT for 3. Okay, Mickie James getting the victory. And then some masked person suddenly attacks Mickie. Who could it be? Could it be Sky Blue? Could it be Lady Frost? Ooh, maybe it could be somebody interesting that'll knock out Velvet and take over commentary. Am I beating the sarcasm drum a bit too hard? Sorry, it was Deonna Purrazzo, because they built something up on Impact. Commentary had to tell me that because I don't watch Impact anymore because I don't have time. I review too much stuff weekly as it is that will do infinitely better than Impact, and also Impact is pretty much just, they got great talent, but like they can't get ratings past a certain point because the Forbidden Door only swings one way. Oh my. So anyway, yeah, Deonna Purrazzo versus Mickie James, though. That ought to be fun. Maybe that can happen at Bound for Glory. So, she does hit a package pile driver on her too. That was pretty nice. And then Kylie Rae was helping Mickie to the back. Like, I know I was, all this. I'm Talkie Rae. I know I was doing this, but I'm going to help you. And I'm going to wave, ha ha. So, and I don't know why I made her a possessed doll. Okay, and then here we go. So we have Jordan Clearwater, the masked man, known as Siren, or Scion, rather. I don't know why he is named after a freaking, I don't know why he's named after like some 70s, 80s cyborg from like a really bad, movie. And I'm not knocking the guy, I'm talking about the name. They had to team up with Tyrus, with Austin Idol. Let me just say right now that I'm going to have particular critique here that some people may not like. But the Pope and The End, Odinson and Perro. Perro's great. Really is great. I wouldn't want to piss him off. And I mean, not that I would want to piss off Odinson. I wouldn't want to piss any of these guys off. I probably could outrun Tyrus. Hell, I've seen people with no legs that can outrun Tyrus. Tim Storm replaces Conrad on commentary. Thank fuck, we get a good voice on commentary to join Joe Galley and drown out Velvet Sky, who just got worse and worse and worse. I don't know if this is coming across, but I'm not enjoying Velvet Sky on commentary because she just slaps everything down by being absolute shit. So anyway, Tyrus does not belong in the goddamn ring anymore. It would be one thing, and regardless, once again, same with Velvet Sky, even though she's got toxic views and she can kick rocks along with Angelina Love. Tyrus obviously has shit views, but okay, you can justify shit views because there's plenty of shit views in wrestling. You're hiring talent. You're not just hiring good people, though you should have some people that have maybe some morals, unlike Tyrus. But the whole point is, putting that to the side, you could justify his position on the card if he was, 48 and in shape. He can't even fucking move anymore. He could barely move in 2012 when he was the Funkasaurus. The only time he got over was by using Funk is on a roll. Somebody call his mama and say, your son is shit in the ring. Assuming his mom is still alive. I mean, I don't goddamn know. I don't really goddamn care either. I don't know where this tangent's going. The whole point is, Tyrus does not belong in a fucking ring. The Faces did some great triple work and stuff like that. I mean, I'm trying to sum this up. So yeah, this Scion, dreaming of Scion, wait, that's Zion, and Clearwater had to carry this whole thing. And they're good workers. They are. Jordan Clearwater's been good in the NWA and also on the appearances he's had on New Japan Strong. And this Masked Man, Mystery Man, Scion is pretty good. I'm just going to say Masked Man. Scion's a stupid name. It's like Triton. Remember Triton from Impact? So anyway, Tyrus goes to do a splash, and this guy's supposed to move. Tyrus does one of the worst attempts at like hitting a splash. He could have just fallen down and gotten more air than he did. What the fuck is Billy Corgan doing employing a goddamn has-been hack that was never that good to begin with in his company when he's trying to grow his audience? I mean, think about it. The last pay-per-view that they had, When Our Shadows Fall, I mean, I'm not talking about Empower, and I don't know what the buy rates are for Empower and this pay-per-view, though I hope they're significantly higher than whatever When Our Shadows Fall was, which I think were between 500 and 600, and that's not very fucking good. I get that the NWA so far, the paywall they have for Power and stuff like that, and after the pandemic, they lost so much stuff, they're trying to build people back up, and they're trying to introduce new talent, and they're doing a good job with quite a bit of that. Even if I'm not sold on some of these talents, I give them credit for trying to, create some new things and do stuff, even though the Champion Series wasn't all that great. The whole point of this, Tyrus does not benefit any wrestling company. He's shitting on the legacy of a once proud television championship that meant something once, long ago. I mean, Pope did a pretty good job with it. And if you're going to switch it from Pope, switch it to some other fucking heel. Give it to Latimer. Give it to Latimer. Give it to Jordan Clearwater. Give it to somebody. Why are you hitching your wagon to Tyrus? He can't even do anything. He couldn't do the splash. That was one of the worst goddamn things I've seen. Tyrus may be the worst goddamn wrestler that's being featured on any kind of national stage. I've been at indie shows where you can tell that people are just getting into the beginning of their career, or maybe, they're dealing with an injury, but they've been wrestling for a few years, that move better than fucking Tyrus. Get Tyrus out of the fucking goddamn ring, or just abolish the television championship. Just get rid of it. Because if you're going to have 2 mid-card championships, and you're going to hitch one of them to Tyrus, you kind of fucking deserve to not have that many people watch your product, which is a shame because I want people to watch the NWA. I want people to watch I hope people enjoyed Empower. I enjoyed it. Sans a few things, Velvet Sky's commentary once again, but this Tyrus stuff, it needs to stop. It needs to fucking stop. And also, fuck the guy for being a goddamn piece of shit, but fuck the guy for thinking that he belongs in a wrestling ring in any capacity in 2021. And Grandpa Idol needs to go the fuck away. There are legends they could use, or maybe they, instead of just embracing the past, they could be like, hey, maybe we should get people talking that don't sound like Grandpa Simpson telling stories. Hey, everybody, an old man's talking. Anyway, so yeah, that Black G's guy shows up because he's been trying to associate. Well, he's associated with Jordan Clearwater, and they're trying to help out Tyrus because he needs all the goddamn help he can get. I mean, seriously, look at the freaking short video of him doing that splash. Fucking embarrassing. So Pero stalks him and, up the ramp, and Tyrus takes about 19 years to hit the heart punch, but that Scion guy got the tag and then covers 1, 2, 3. So at least somebody talented got the goddamn pin. This was bad. Poor Pope. Fuck. Anyway, James Storm versus Chris Adonis for the NWA National Championship in 2021. Okay. Adonis still moves pretty well. James Storm, he's got to be in his closing in on 45, but still moves really well. You can tell that he's world traveled. He keeps himself in good shape, even if people. The one thing I saw last night, and maybe this is just among people, they were like, "Oh, James Storm, he's in better shape or whatever, but he's never been in great shape." I go, James Storm could out cardio so many goddamn wrestlers that out there. And he's also a tremendous tag team wrestler, part of two of my favorite tag teams of all time, America's Most Wanted and Beer Money, at least in the modern era. But definitely two of my favorite TNA/Impact Wrestling tag teams. But anyway, Adonis did slow it down after Storm was fired up, and then we get a buckle shot. That fired up Storm because he kept hitting his head into the buckle, and Storm's like, no. So anyway, he hit Eye of the Storm, sort of. That wasn't very good. We get a spine buster for 2. Master Lock, but that got countered into a full Nelson Slam for 2. Well, actually, the Master Lock got broken up because he couldn't quite get it, but he did hit the full Nelson Slam. And then, because James Storm drinks beer, and Adonis is like, I'm going to assault the ref with beer. Why the fuck not? It was a Coors Light. I'm going to go drink a Coors Light because Bud Light don't pay me shit. It was sponsored by Bush, by the way. And they did the Bush thing quite a bit. So, last call. 1, 2, 3. Oh, the foot's on the rope. And then James Storm gets caught in the most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. So surprise roll up 1, 2, 3. And Adonis is using the ropes. He retains the championship. Car shield out with Ric Flair. Here's Ric Flair. Let me just say right now, Ric Flair back in the NWA. Wild. Good for him. I'm also questioning now if he requested his release or maybe if he was just given his release. Maybe he was encouraged to, take his release and everything because there were elements of a good promo here. He seemed very emotional. He seemed very happy. He told some good stories. He also went on and on and on. I think I figured out why this pay-per-view went nearly 3.5 hours. He signed autographs with Pete Rose, had drinks with Rodman. He's going to go visit Steve Mongo McMichael. He's talking about all this stuff and everything. And he told this stuff throughout the promo. The NWA will never be gone because of people like you. Oh, great. Triple H 2003 has invaded his brain, infesting in his ears and nesting. Testing, attention, please. So, Mr. Corgan, he asked Mr. Corgan, can I have a minute to speak? He's like, you're Ric Flair. Do whatever, say whatever you want. So anyway, it's like his wife, Wendy, picked him up when he was down, just like Triple H, Shawn, Taker, Austin. He did put over Vince McMahon. He put over guys that helped him regain his confidence, which was nice. And then it just kept going. And but anyway, he praises everybody. Triple H has an original NWA championship in his office, or maybe it's a replica. Harley Race gets mentioned. We get a Harley chance. He says, Ricky, you're going to have to catch one on Brody whenever, or whether he likes it or not. And because Harley Race just was that goddamn intense. And kept telling people about, the various, the various people that are in the NWA, that how he wrestled everybody. Blackjack Mulligan, just wrestling various people. Ricky Steamboat, all the people that he wrestled. And he had a lot of great feuds. He did. I think Rick still wishes he could wrestle. He shouldn't. I fear that he's going to in AEW, and I hope he doesn't. He flew everywhere. He, champion being the NWA heavyweight champion, because otherwise, what the fuck else point would there be being a champion? Vince, Tony Khan, Billy Corgan, we need brands to survive. You need companies working together and stuff like that. Territories. Mentioning that. To be fair, he is sort of right. it's a double-edged sword, companies working together, because sometimes, how can you continue your storylines if you don't work them out the right way? It can work out for some, but maybe not for others. Not everybody can work in AEW, WWE, or stuff like that. That's why we need brands to survive. And then he goes over the multiple ups and downs, talking about his hair being cut, having an earring, the Spartacus thing, being buried in the desert, wrestling, staying on the last Nitro and not being in shape at all. The WWE did save him, how St. Louis is wrestling history, home of the NWA. And thank you, Rick Chance. It did take a bit long, but there was a lot of good. I was a little bit worried he was meandering a little too much. That being said, it was very emotional for him. 12-man battle royal to determine the number one contender match for the NWA, or number one contender for the NWA National Championship. 12, actually it's 13. So, Sal Rinauro, Slice Boogie, Marsh Rocket, Russ Freeman, Jeremiah Plunkett, Captain Yuma. I don't know. Maybe he's Russ Free. I don't goddamn know. I'm not familiar with some of these guys, just FYI. JTG, Mims, Luke Hawks, who's PJ Hawks' father, El Rudo, Jimmy Stanley, Heartthrob Jaden, and also the 13th guy was Judas. Let's hear it for Judas. Led by Father James Mitchell. I was wondering where I saw this guy from. He was Murphy, of Gunner and Murphy, so hopefully he has better views than Gunner, who is now Jackson Riker, and Jackson Riker can piss the fuck off. So anyway, yeah, he's tall, and they tried to give him a sinister gimmick, hence the Sinister Minister being there. Like pretty much any battle royal, this was a goddamn mess. They basically sold everything for Judas, and eventually he won. I don't have much to say about this. Him and JTG did some stuff that didn't try to look contrived, but kind of did. But JTG, hopefully maybe he can be the person to win the national championship, because Judas certainly shouldn't be. Judas won. That's really all I got to say about that. This was a mess. So, Chelsea Green versus Camille, NWA Women's Championship. I will say, well, not as good as Layla Hirsch versus Camille. Told a good story. It was fine. Chelsea Green was fired up and everything. I don't know why she came out dressed as a boat captain. Maybe she studied old Mike Rotunda, Captain Mike Rotunda stuff. Boy, should have studied the Varsity Club stuff. Anyway, it did not match Hirsch versus Camille, but it was what it was. So the size is about even, except Camille's more of a powerhouse, hence the Brick House Powerhouse. Even though that's not her name, I'm just going to say it anyway. Camille was scissoring Chelsea from behind. There's an image for you all. Series of near falls. Camille then targeted the previously broken wrist, because Chelsea's wrist has broken a lot, but she kept selling that. She did hit her with her bad wrist at one point. Good job there. Way to sell the injury. And leg drop by Camille. A spear, but a foot on the rope. Oh no. Chelsea kept trying to come back, but eventually got caught in some kind of armbar, wrist lock, and then a ragdoll, and she had to tap out. Okay, that was nice. Chelsea Green sold the injury finally, and then got beat. Good stuff. Camille retained. La Rebellion took on with Conan. Conan's back with shots ringing out in St. Louis. Not nearby. Moving on. Versus Shooter Stevens, Aaron Shooter Stevens, and Kratos. Can the champs stay on the same page? They seemingly can. They still lost. Wasn't a bad match. This definitely was picking up compared to the Battle Royal, I will say that. Kratos uses power. Stevens' leg got targeted for a while. A long time. Good set of heat. It went a bit long, but they were trying to do the old school stuff, so it was what it was. Eventually, he does get the hot tag to Kratos to a pop. And this did go a little bit. But BCS 666 did a dive. And then Mark of the Beast 1, 2, 3, new tag team champions. Conan then talked about, how wrestling has progressed and stuff like that. There's more, Hispanics, African Americans. It's more inclusive and everything. Some aspects are. You still need to get certain people that shouldn't be included out, like Velveteen Dream. And if you know, you know. Get people like that out of, to get them out of polite society. Get them off of this planet as far as I'm concerned. Shoot them into space. But good. You know what? Good stuff. They, new tag team champions. I think that was pretty obvious, but it's good. So then we have a package on Trevor Murdoch versus Nick Aldis. It's suddenly a title versus career match out of nowhere. I don't remember if they announced that Murdoch was gonna put his career on the line on the last NWA Power, because I didn't watch the package shows, so I'm sorry if they made this, official and I just wasn't aware. But all right, cool. They telegraphed the fact that Trevor Murdoch was going to win, but Trevor Murdoch would have won anyway, whether they had his career on the line or not. It was just a little bit of drama. I will say that this was better than the When Our Shadows Fall match because A, it wasn't nearly as rushed, but it was a little bit convoluted. They did, however, do some good stuff and told a good story, but I'm going to have some critiques. Anyway, I did like how the referee says you're meeting in the same place as your mentor/trainer Harley Race. Harley chants. And then Aldis blindsides Murdoch. The bell does not ring, by the way, because he blindsides him while Murdoch is trying to hand his jacket to his family and get some encouragement. And beats it's his wife, his kid, and the younger kid, and the litter that Murdoch's about to have. Anyway, so he basically gets shit beat out of him for a while. He does fire back. They fight into the crowd. The camera crew gets lost, seemingly not knowing what they're doing. And the bell hasn't rung. This was like 5 minutes of them brawling. All right, okay, it's a little bit different. Was what it was. And since they had more room to play with and everything, as opposed to being in the studio, they did some better stuff here. And then Murdoch, he teased having an injury and everything because they did a bump on the stage. And Corgan and everybody was out there saying, I wonder if he's all right. Okay, it can continue. And then the match finally starts. And they have some good stuff. Murdoch fires back. Aldis hits an Olympic slam. The whole alliance with Kurt Angle and everything. Main Event Mafia. Ooh. Well, that was the second incarnation of the Main Event Mafia. But the whole point is, Luthez press. That was really nice. Good callback there. Big chest to the chop of Trevor. Reminder, the Velvet Sky is really fucking bad at commentary. Figure 4 by Trevor. More of a heel hook. Good stuff. Good psychology. There were elements of a good match here. It just ended up being decent overall for me. But anyway, post spot by Trevor. And then Aldis shoves the ref. And the ref shoves him back. And then a ref bump. Oh, great. Good. More shenanigans. Shenanigans! Unacceptable! Anyway, low blow by Aldis. And then he mocks Murdoch's family and beats him up in front of them. And then gets a table. After throwing Kyle Durden Davis out of the way. And then he does the diving elbow through the table. By the way, the second referee seemingly fell asleep for hours on end. Because he was graveyard down. Just graveyard dead. Just done. Anyway, so the second referee comes in about 18 years later. And he was apparently getting coffee or something. Or sandwiches. Or I don't know. Maybe he was behind the dumpster in the outside the Chase. If you get it, you get it. And then the code red for 2 by Murdoch. Okay, this is where I was starting to worry about Joe Galley because he was getting really, really energetic. Where it's like, Joe, cool. Easy, man, easy. I was afraid he was going to bust a gasket. Tim Storm was really emotional, too. And Velvet Sky was ruining this damn thing because she's Velvet Sky and should not be on commentary. So we get Tombstone by Aldis, a diving elbow for 2. Murdoch hits a superplex for 2. And then the clover leaf soon after, oh no, Murdoch gets to the ropes. Boo, yay. And then a pile driver, shades of Harley Race. Big pop for that. And then the diving bulldog. 1, 2, 3. Big pop. Trevor Murdoch is the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Won the same title that Harley Race did. Good. That was good. Trevor Murdoch's also not going to hold it very long if they have a pay-per-view in either October or maybe November. He's going to lose it back then. So it's going to be like a Ronnie Garvin 1987 reign. Or it's going to be like Ricky Steamboat holding it for, what did Ricky Steamboat hold it for, like 2.5 months, something like that. It's not going to be very long, but it's a nice story. Good on Trevor Murdoch. They basically painted themselves into a corner. If Aldis's, 1,044 day-long reign had continued, more fans would have tuned out. I don't know if Trevor Murdoch is going to bring more eyeballs to the NWA, but at least it's fresh to get somebody else ready. I mean, Pope, somebody... I don't know who else you would... Don't put it back on Aldis. And I like Nick Aldis. Don't get me wrong. I think Nick Aldis is great. Just don't put it back on him. But anyway, Tim Storm, I was losing it. He's a former NWA champion, lost to Nick Aldis and everything. And, great spokesperson for the NWA, as I said. Flair comes down. He basically cuts a promo putting over Murdoch. The family's there, too. And then Murdoch talks basically about Harley, being the champion and stuff like that. Crowd's chanting, you deserve it. Good stuff. Again, Murdoch will not hold it for very long, but at least it's a nice moment. And I hope that this launches the NWA, or at least helps push it along, but we will see. But I will say, as far as positives and negatives for their two pay-per-views, they have more positives than negatives, which is really, especially for a venue like this, and especially with the history and given the talent depth that they have had, the issues they've had, they did the best they could. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.